It's more instructive to look back at Week 18 when these two teams played. Now, I don't think this game will play out exactly the same way, but that was a game in which the Niners on both sides of the ball, Colin, were physically handled. Kyle Shanahan, for the most part, as you know, he's not a one-play kind of coach. He doesn't think, even though he called this particular play that we're looking at, and that's because they were really struggling to run the ball, which has been the case now for the last 2 weeks. He called this play to see if he could just generate some kind of offense, but they've not been able to run the ball, but for the most part, Kyle is kind of a four-quarter coach. He builds off plays, so he needs to run plays. When they played Seattle Week 18, the 49ers only ran 42 offensive plays. That's unheard of in an NFL game. So they never had a chance to sort of develop an offensive rhythm and develop pace and tempo. Because when they're at their best, it's not that they're a big play offense. They're not driving the ball down the field, but they tend to control the way the game is played.
Yeah.
And that did not happen against Seattle. And it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. They got physically handled. You look at this game and you think, gee, could that happen again? It could. I guess I'd be surprised if it does, and I'm certainly not saying San Francisco is going to win, but they need to be able to control the game with their offense.
Indeed. The paramount factor was the manner in which they exerted control in the previous encounter, a point I have frequently emphasized. It fundamentally boiled down to tackling that was nothing short of extraordinary. The 49ers offensive unit successfully distributed the football to its intended targets, yet there was a complete absence of yardage after the catch. It was utterly negligible. On every seemingly routine, high-percentage completion, the quick throws, the 1 or 2 yard passes, the screen passes, the immediate closeout by defenders was so efficient that these plays gained no traction whatsoever. They never developed into explosive gains. It was a veritable clinic in tackling technique. Throughout my viewing of that contest, that singular thought persisted. This is a masterclass in tackling. The Seattle Seahawks exhibited remarkable discipline in this facet of the game. Contrastingly, what ultimately undermined the Philadelphia Eagles last week was their profound deficiency in tackling, which permitted substantial gains, monumental plays, and devastating yardage accumulation following receptions. Consequently, I am utterly fascinated to witness the evolution of this dynamic. If the San Francisco 49ers can manage to penetrate this defensive structure and mitigate the impact of what I will reiterate as a tackling masterclass, then their offense possesses the capability to establish a sustainable rhythm and advance the football downfield. This, in turn, would apply substantial pressure on the Seattle Seahawks offensive unit. In the prior matchup, the 49ers applied zero pressure. I am not alluding solely to defensive pressure from a pass rush, but rather the broader strategic pressure that compels an opponent to deviate from their preferred script. The Seahawks' offensive approach never faced any compulsion to adapt because their defense provided absolute command. I have elaborated on this from the Seattle perspective. When a defense performs at an elite level and consistently stifles the opposing offense, it confers upon its own offensive counterpart complete latitude and flexibility to operate according to its initial design. Conversely, if the 49ers offense can initiate sustained success, it forces the Seahawks into a reactive posture, potentially compelling them to engage in a style of play contrary to their strategic preferences. This rationale underpins my contention that should the 49ers win the pregame coin toss, I would not be surprised if they elect to receive the opening kickoff. Their mentality would be, we want possession immediately. We intend to drive the length of the field and score. Should they accomplish this, the complexion of the game transforms instantaneously. Should they fail, however, the scenario becomes precarious. Immediate pressure transfers to their defense to secure a stop. Otherwise, they could swiftly find themselves trailing by 7 points after their offense's most concerted effort faltered. Thus, the potential trajectories for this game's flow are manifold. An additional variable is the health status of Sam Darnold, which introduces a wildcard element. I will be live streaming this contest. I may have mentioned this already, but I reiterate. I will be providing live coverage. Please be sure to join the stream on Saturday evening. I plan to broadcast all postseason games, so if you are viewing this recording later in the day prior to kickoff, I will likely be live for an earlier game. Tune in for that. If no game has commenced, please await the start and then join. I will also be present for coverage tomorrow. It is consistently an excellent and engaging experience to interact with everyone in real time. Regarding the 49ers' performance against the Philadelphia Eagles, it holds negligible informational value for me. I derived no new insights from that victory because I was already cognizant of this team's resilience, Brock Purdy's proficiency, and the collective excellence of Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan. There were no revelations. Even utilizing the previous Seahawks game as a reference point, my analysis centers predominantly on the aforementioned tackling excellence. I did not observe any intrinsic, systemic flaw within the 49ers that suggested an incapacity to execute specific tasks or a fundamental inability to compete. That was not the narrative. The reality is that because the Seahawks defense never permitted the 49ers offense to apply scoreboard pressure, we never witnessed whether the 49ers defense could consistently place Sam Darnold in disadvantageous situations and induce errors. That dimension remained unexplored due to the offensive stagnation. The inclusion of a somewhat anomalous interception on a play where Brock Purdy had scoring potential further altered the game's landscape. It was a uniquely intriguing contest. The final score of 13-3 belied a contest that felt overwhelmingly dominated by the Seahawks through control of tempo and possession. As was astutely noted, the 49ers' drive sequences were abbreviated. 3 plays, 3 plays, 6 plays, 9 plays, 8 plays, 3 plays, 7 plays, culminating in the interception. Had they capitalized on certain opportunities, converting a field goal or touchdown, the score could have been 13-10 or 13-6, maintaining a one-possession game. Yet the Seahawks maintained a commanding sense of control throughout, a byproduct of defensive supremacy, which allowed their offense to adopt a conservative, low-key approach, placing unequivocal trust in their defense. Their sole substantial offensive drive, a 16-play, 89-yard march, unfortunately concluded with a missed field goal, epitomizing the day's frustrations. Therefore, if the Seahawks replicate that same closing speed and tackling proficiency, and the 49ers lack a reliable mechanism to generate explosive plays, we could witness an identical scenario, a virtual carbon copy of the previous matchup. I am confident the Seahawks would employ an equally conservative, careful, and calculated game plan. The statistical evidence from the last meeting is stark. Christian McCaffrey was limited to 23 yards on 8 carries, with a longest run of 5 yards and a longest reception of 9. They could not establish him in any reliable capacity. While McCaffrey was contained in the ground game against the Eagles, he still amassed approximately 100 scrimmage yards and impacted meaningful moments. Against the Seahawks, such contributions were non-existent. The broader offensive metrics are telling: 2 for 9 on 3rd down, 0 for 2 on 4th down, 42 total plays for 173 yards, and a time of possession deficit of 37.48 to 22.12. Conversely, the Seahawks executed their preferred formula, 39 carries for 180 rushing yards. This is their blueprint for control. Sam Darnold's line, 20 for 26, 198 yards, epitomizes calm, calculated, high-percentage execution. It reflects intelligent, layup-type throws, completion after completion, complemented by a persistent rushing attack. The mechanism to disrupt this equilibrium does not originate solely from a defensive adjustment. It emanates from the scoreboard. It is incumbent upon the 49ers offense to score points. The pivotal question becomes, does Kyle Shanahan possess additional schematic innovations in his repertoire? This matchup, as I expressed in my Seahawks analysis, represents a culmination. Seahawks versus 49ers, prime time on Saturday night, featuring the strategic minds of Shanahan, Mike McDonald, Clint Kubiak, Robert Saleh, alongside the talents of Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold. I am thoroughly energized for this confrontation. Those are my comprehensive reflections. I would be absolutely delighted to hear your perspectives. What are your thoughts? Do you believe the 49ers will formulate an effective response to the Seattle Seahawks strategy? Do you anticipate they will rise to the occasion, potentially shocking the football world by defeating the Seahawks and advancing to the NFC Championship game? Please share your insights in the comments section below. I read every single comment, irrespective of agreement or disagreement. Let's engage in some substantive discussions. Let's have some spirited debates. But ultimately, let's ensure we derive enjoyment from the exchange. please consider subscribing to the channel. We are cultivating an exceptional community here and would absolutely cherish your participation. My aim is to build a space where we all feel a genuine sense of connection, something we are authentically excited to be part of, and I believe we are making significant progress toward that goal. Also, please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it genuinely assists with visibility and the platform's algorithm. Thank you so very much for your time and engagement. I look forward to our next interaction.